Hey you guys, welcome back to Branding While Black. My name is Shanae Washington and my mission is to educate, empower, and economically develop my people. So on this episode, this is for my people who are looking to break into an industry that society told them that they're not really supposed to be in. My guest today has solidified his company's quality and reputation in the jewelry and more specifically the watch industry. My guest today is Dr. Mario McCoy. He is the CEO and founder of Ncmprbl Watches, where they help you advance your wrist. So check out his journey and all of the gems that he's leaving behind for you. Guys, so we are back with another episode of Branding While Black. And I have an awesome guest with me today. And it's one that you don't really see too often. I have Dr. Mario McCoy with me. He is the CEO of Ncmprbl Watches. And it is one of 12 Black-owned watch companies in the country. So welcome, Dr. McCoy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you for having us. You know, it's a little bit more than 12 now. It was a little while ago, whatever.
Nice. How many is it now?
I want to say it's about 25. I tried to do research on our particular competitors around the country that's, started up this year and, from previous, but it's about 25.
All right. The glow up is happening.
It is.
Well, good. Well, okay. So first, I have to start off by the name. Like, how did you come up with the name Ncmprbl as well as the spelling? Because when I was telling people like beforehand that I'm interviewing the CEO of this watch company called Ncmprbl, and when I pulled up your IG to show them, they was like, oh, so. Like they didn't get the spelling. So how did you come up with it?
It's a dope conversation starter, just how you just made the example, right? So in Ncmprbl, we're made to be a feeling and look. I wanted to have a particular word that, encompassed, both. As far as I didn't want to name it after me or just have it after like a specific name that could nobody readily relate to. And as far as the spelling, it's the phonetic spelling. The word Ncmprbl with the vowels is entirely too long. Entirely, like letter wise, it's entirely too long. So we wanted to make sure that we still had that phonetic piece where people will be able to enunciate it. And to kind of drive home the point even more, like our tagline, don't be regular, be incomparable. That's when people tend to get the enunciation of it. It's okay, it's not an acronym, it's not this, right. It's not a NCM, like it's not his name. It's like, don't be regular, so then it draws them into the brand, like that whole call to action that we have with advanced risk and all of that. So it's like, upper echelon I am incomparable. Yes, let's go. So that's how we came up with it.
Nice. So in our previous interview, I saw that one thing that you said was that when people purchase your watches, like you don't want them to just feel like they're just buying a watch. Right. You want them to understand that they're purchasing or they're buying your life story,
right?
Like that, like your lifestyle, your personality, and everything that's infused into this beautiful product. So can you tell us a little bit like about what your life story is? Like what were the events that led up to Dr. Mario McCoy as of present today?
Oh boy. So as far as my own life story, I'm born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I moved to Houston when I turned 30. So I've been here about 6-7 years. And I was an individual, like I always thrived in being a creative, or I always had an entrepreneurial mind. I first started selling and talking to people when I was probably like 6 or 7 years old. I wanted to join this sports league in the inner city in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We got to sell candy bars door to door to make money for the uniforms. And my mom was a social worker, and I was single parent household, all of that. So she was like, "You better sell them candy bars for $1." Because without that, you'll be the only person on the team out of Jersey. It ain't gonna happen. So I do
hustling.
Complete hustle. But that taught me how to talk to people. It taught me how to not take no. It taught me how to negotiate. It taught me how to not be afraid of people that are from different backgrounds than you, and how to navigate throughout the community, and just really be attentive to what makes us tick, what inspires us as Black people, as Black millennials, Generation Z's, et cetera, et cetera. So fast forward. I'm glad you mentioned the doctorate, because I'm a non-traditional college student. I went to school and I dropped out for 4 years, and went back and grabbed my undergraduate degree. And with that was, I had to write a letter to the financial aid department. We finna get deep.
When you saw me, I was like, oh, okay.
I a letter because I was slacking in school previously. I was slacking in school, and I wasn't challenged. I was that student that was like, you mean to tell me I don't have to go to class? I got to show up for exam day, for lectures. How lectures was different than discussion halls back then. I was like, okay, y'all will only see me on exam day. That was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. It was completely terrible. So, and the alma mater that I went to college in my hometown, UW Milwaukee. And when I wrote this letter, they were like, you're probably not going to make it. And I kept that in me. I was like, nah, we're not finna. They was like, yeah, you've been out of school for X amount of years. The school was predominantly white. Only 12% of Black students tended to graduate back at that particular time. So I kept that in mind. I looked at myself. I was like, dude, I graduated high school with a pretty decent 3-point-something GPA. I need to get it together. So we balanced that. I did music at the time. I grew up in hip hop. So that's a key tenet that grows with now. Fast forward to Ncmprbl, and with the whole school thing, I grabbed up 2 bachelors, got a master's, and grabbed a doctorate from USC, and we launched Ncmprbl in the middle of my doctoral program. I jumped out. I'm sorry for answering the future question, but I was terribly dissatisfied with where I was in corporate America, and I just felt the sign from God. I'm a big believer in the Lord, and I definitely faith is stronger than a mustard seed. We're gonna talk about that.
Yes, Lord.
But it was just something that clicked in me. He told me, like, if you don't do this now, you're never gonna do it. So I took all the savings, did all the market research a couple years prior to, and I already grew up loving watches. And that came from like my mom taking me to McDonald's all the time. I had to flip up Raphael.
Right.
Yeah, it was one of those stories. So ever since then, I just, my love grew for him. And I wanted to have what's the word I want to use? I wanted to provide impact for us. Mm-hmm. It was a lack of representation of Black culture and nostalgic style that's based off of what people buy as far as accessories. But in 2018, I saw a study that was on a Nielsen study that said Black millennials spend over $60 million on watches and accessories every year. So like the Rollies, the APs, mm-hmm. like the higher ends, even down to Guess, to Kenneth Cole, to Movement, to mm-hmm. Even the Black owned watch brands, Tally and Twine, and Spring Break, et cetera, et cetera. But there was a lack of representation for our particular age bracket. And I was like, okay, since we're the most influential, we need to have something that speaks for us. So I wanted to make a brand that exercise and solve that problem and address that need. So fast forward, and now we got it Ncmprbl.
Love it. All right. That was a nice little synopsis. You kind of just ran it. All right. So of course, like I said before, it's not that often that you see a Black owned company in the I guess this would be the jewelry industry.
Right.
I'm just really curious. I know you said that you've always had like a love of watches. Like how did you learn how to design and make them? Like, everybody always say, Google and YouTube could teach you any and everything. But really, like how did you learn how to do that?
I've always had a strong sense of fashion. But in a sense of having that sense, I wanted to make sure that I knew the background of what makes a quality watch, like not something that's just gonna make it wrist turn green, because I didn't want to get sued. First and foremost, we want to make sure that we know all the particular movements, PVD codings, and 14 karat gold, 18 karat gold, all of this, sapphire crystals and mineral hard legs, and what starts these warranties, what keeps these warranties, what all of those things I did research on first before I looked into my target buyer market. which would segue into the design piece, because I wanted to make sure that we had something that was easy on the eye, still minimalist, modern, and all of that. But you wanted to make sure that you had something that was easy on the eye. So Photoshop was my best friend.
Hey.
Came up with a few sketches, and worked directly with a couple manufacturers that's in the States and out of the States, and pretty much studied a lot of how the contemporary watch brands, like I mentioned previously. Like I used to be a big, and I still am. I used to be a big Kenneth Cole and a big Movement, and a big Italian Twine and Spring Break like fan. So I was more so how can I make sure that my designs are different, and look to see what they did that made them, successful. So being able to be knowledgeable as far as the whole design piece, then that segue to how can our designs inspire and make and connect with our people, because we're not just selling like a brand experience. People want to know like your climb. People want to know like what makes you tick. Gone are the days of just getting something because it's just trendy, right? Like they want something that they can like immediately connect to. So we came up with sketches for like our Prolific 42 watch. It's one of our highest selling pieces. It connects Jackie Robinson with Nipsey Hussle. And that was done on purpose because obviously, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier for Major League Baseball, Brooklyn Dodgers, Dodger Blue, Nipsey Hussle. And we had a percentage of the proceeds that went towards our Legacies Live Forever Creative Conform Scholarship Fund. So we knew that Nipsey Hussle was big on philanthropy. I'm Greek, so I've been big on philanthropy and community service myself. So making sure that I had, those tenets to connect with people, because they knew, like you said, you wearing more than a watch, you wearing our life story. Like it might not get people that, like say, let me scale back. You might not get people that are readily familiar with Jackie Robinson's story, but they love Nip Hussle the Great, and vice versa. So it's like, oh, okay, so now we're merging age demographics here. We're merging people from all across the country, all different, walks of life, all different ages and all of that. So when I started to notice that these things are working as part of our plan, send it roll with it.
Hey, I love that. And I saw that watch on your website, and it is beautiful. I love it. And I do have some favorite ones that I kind of picked out. So, I'm gonna talk about them later though. I'm gonna talk about them later.
Got you.
But so for those budding entrepreneurs that may be watching or listening, how did you go about finding like the manufacturers? People want to create products that they have like an idea, they have the sketches, they have, they may have a prototype, but they don't know how to get to that distribution step. Like what was your process?
My main thing before I even look for a specific manufacturer, I look to see if they could meet the specific strenuous longevity requirements that's going to, ensure a quality watch. So I looked at, who provided, 316L stainless steel, who provided PVD coating, not PVD plating, because plating your coloring on your watch can fade and all of that stuff. And then you look for people who are great in English, who have a legitimate background and what they do and who they partner with, whether it was here in the States or overseas, because we do have people in the US and people in Hong Kong and Japan and stuff like that. And that culminated into the warranty piece, because we didn't want to sell anything that didn't come with at least a 12 to 24 month warranty, with the watches. So a lot of that was real trial and error, because there's a lot of turnover, especially overseas and whatnot. And we wanted to make sure that we picked and worked with reputable manufacturers that acted in good faith to their employees as well. Like we didn't want to have any sweatshop stories or anything that could be detrimental towards them and our brand moving forward. Because having those I guess you could say relationships, that was definitely important, because we've moved through a couple of different manufacturers since we started. And I guess you could say, I don't even want to say it's more so in the beta stage, because it definitely does happen with our bigger brands that we don't know about. But just doing that research, look to see how they did it, as well. Looked at, my contemporaries and my direct competitors, and, like you did, watch their interviews, and, saw, what they offer to their clientele on their websites. And even I don't want to necessarily call myself a watch guy, because those dudes can be snobs. They can be complete. Like, all they do is go on the internet and just dish you on Quora and all of that. Like, I'm not one of those. I'm a person that's very knowledgeable as far as what we sell and what our contemporaries sell, and making sure that that comes back full force.
Right.
So.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for that, Jim. I'm sure that some people get something out of that, that's trying to jump into the industry. So for a lot of entrepreneurs, we hear a lot of no's, like in our journeys. Like, we hear no or nothing at all, crickets. So especially from people in our circle, and our family, and all of that, but I do feel like once we get that first yes, or that first sale, you send that first invoice and you see that money in your account and stuff, like that just creates so much reassurance, right? How did you feel when you got that very first sale?
Like I was on to something. With Ncmprbl, previously, I had a limited edition collection sneaker line from Legacies Live Forever, and I grew up in hip hop, so I definitely was the hip hop artist that sold CDs out the trunk of the car and did shows all around the country and all of that stuff. But with Ncmprbl, it was just different, because it was something that was a complete leap of faith, and it was something that I always loved to do, but I kept it close to the vest. So when we got our first sale, it wasn't even to do with the watches. It was more so they identified. We had a Final Four collection. It was Duke, Hampton, Blackbird, and Roman. And this particular person that bought Duke and Blackbird, and I'm a North Carolina Tar Heels stan, like through and through. So it took everything in me to name this watch Duke, right? And the Blue Devils. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that. That's Kyrie Irving. I'll take that. Jabari Parker. There's other basketball players that went to Duke, so that was why they got it. But Blackbird is actually a ploy off of a Jay-Z lyric off Run This Town. And they caught that immediately. Said, like, you're speaking to our culture. Like, you're speaking, to I can look at your watch and rap this lyric. That's not common in this particular jewelry and fashion accessory sector. Normally they just have, they go on a website and it just says gold black watch. Like, yeah, we know the colors, but this little bit of extra emotional tie is what's going to make, your brand pop. And when I caught that, I was like, okay, I know I'm not crazy, because I've been thinking about this. I done did my market research on this for a couple years now. Okay, now we on to something. So when I got that sale, I was like, this could work, because like you said, them no's be real.
Yeah, they do. Make you wanna just, hey, I might want to go back to that day job. I don't know.
And I always tell people, like, with your family, because you brought up a valid point, with your family, with your friends, with your closest supporters, they tend to view you in a certain light. Right? Especially when you take a leap of faith, just doing whatever. But when you start to get some notoriety, a little bit of longevity, or they seeing a couple people wearing the stuff that you don't know or they don't know, like, they look at you and then they start to question themselves, like, what about that dream I had when I was 17 and he up here doing this and I didn't do it? So then you got to kind of give them that grace, like, this ain't really about what I'm doing. It's about the lack of what you wanted to do. So that's why you upset. So
I kind of want to go back a little bit about, because you brought up who your target audience is, which the Black millennials. So I'm sure that social media was a big part of your research. And trying to find them and what they like, and I'm sure you're probably using influencers and all of that good stuff, just all of the things. You have your product, right? And you're selling, of course, like word of mouth, in person, and you're building your e-commerce setup structure. So how did you build your well-oiled machine that you have now in regards to roping in social media into the overall scheme?
With Incomparable, great question. With Incomparable, I started I called it a 60-day put you on notice. So before we even like launched Incomparable, like any watches or anything like that, I did a lot of video commentary. And at that time I was outsourcing for brand ambassadors, and I already had a particular plan, a 24-month plan as far as store placement and brand ambassadors, and turning them into brand partners, and growing from there. So when I started to see the commentary and feedback and people that were just into fashion, and of course you get your people, brand ambassador now is turning into an oversaturated thing, and people just think they get stuff for free.
Yep.
And that's it. That's unnecessarily true.
That's all they want.
That's all they want. They just want free stuff. But being able to kind of weed out those individuals while doing this market research and using social media as a tool for it was something that was very, 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 very critical for our structure. When Ncmprbl came out, 30 days later, I was in our first shop here in Houston called Wonder Like Wonder. We love Ruby to death. Ruby's the owner of Wonder Like Wonder. And her target audience resembled who we wanted to shop with us. Slightly younger age, but that's great because they use social media even that much more. So being able to have that name tinted just in that particular, shopping is in a dope strip in downtown Houston, that provided us to have more credibility to go online and say, okay, we have our website and we're in stores here. And that culminated into our first write-up we got with Rank Tribe. And we were like one of the 9 Black-owned watch brands to watch out for. And that joined us with King and Rolf and Vitae London. Forgive me if I pronounce their name wrong. Previously mentioned Tally and Twine, Benson, Spring Break, Benjamin Banneker. There were a few others that were on there as well. But I'm like, okay, now this is working, because soon after, one of my good friends of mine connected me with a dope hip hop label called Redbird Music Group here in Houston, and they just reminded me of myself when I was in that space in Milwaukee, and I'm like, this is just dope, and dope photographer, dope videographer, one of my dopest homies I ever met. And this, especially with entrepreneurship, it's not even necessarily the length of a friendship, it's the strength of the friendship. And we just connected. His name is Eric Jackson, like right hand man when it comes to building things Incomparable. And we just clicked and just, connected just on music, on life. And then, we both are watch connoisseurs and all of that. And then they just built into Incomparable. So all of that came from social media, market research, connecting with people, and just following the plan. So.
Hey, all right. I love that, and you broke that down. I think really digestible. So for all of y'all trying to replicate,
The goal, and there's nothing wrong with replicating at all, because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just add some oil to it. Just add some oil to it.
Exactly, and make it your own.
Exactly. You don't need to be the first to do any and everything. Like I tell people, as far as I compare that to like Apple and Samsung. Like Samsung will have these particular things that's out first and have these glitches, and Apple be like, okay, we finna add these widgets to this iPhone. We already have our target demographic, which is billions and billions upon people. We already make their lives easier with our product, and now we're gonna add these. Y'all used to them, but we're gonna redefine them and make sure that it works for us. And now we're gonna make it cold, so y'all can sit there and have it first, but we made it better. So that's it's all about entrepreneurship too. So
or at least that's the narrative.
Exactly.
So yeah, but they're freaking brilliant at it. So as I sit here on my iPhone. So okay. So I think that is really cool. If you guys go and look at the Ncmprbl website, the price points are like just crazy affordable compared too. Like y'all that want all these Rolexes and like
Mm-hmm.
and the fashion watches, like the Michael Kors and the Gucci's and all of that, so how did you decide, or why did you decide to keep your price point to what an affordable rate is for your target audience? Like how did you come up with that?
We pride ourselves on providing advanced, affordable style, right? And I looked at it as far as kind of similar to Apple again, our good, better, and best pricing. Like if you notice, whenever they come out with an iPhone, the most recent ones, I think there were like 4 releases, they all have different price points to them. And they do that to get different demographics of people who may not want to spend $1,200 or $1,300 on this, but they'll spend $700, $800 on this. So we make sure that we incorporate that and look at, our competitors again, as far as like what they offer, and make sure that we're 10 to 15% beneath that. And we do that, successfully from a range of our leather watches to stainless steel link to the meshes, like all our different, collections from advanced to Blueface to, petite to the originals. And I knew as long as I have a particular, I guess a trajectory as far as our price bracket is concerned, we're going to attract a wide variety, of people. So
Right.
that was very, very, very important, because I saw how they did it, and I see how a few of our other competitors do it as far as that same particular trajectory. Like we just talked about, I don't need to reinvent the wheel, just oil it and make it a little bit better. Right. And even another piece, and this is probably going to be this is going to be for more of my analytics and my super nerds out here, right? This is gonna I guess show the doctor in me. So there's a thing of it's called psychology of pricing, whereas if every price ends with 9, you're going to mentally think that it's cheaper than something that's just $1 more. Like 89 isn't any cheaper than 90, but when you look at it on the internet, you look at it on your phone, it looks cheaper than 90 because we're so used to being, conditioned. Right. That's 29. So that's another piece that was very critical as far as our price points. Like we looked at that how the higher end brand like Daniel Wellington, how they do it as far as that's concerned, and reincorporated that into making it affordable for our consumers. And on top of that, we push home not every watch is mass produced. So we might make a couple hundred or 50 or 75. That exclusivity for our demographic is everything. So we couple that with affordable price points, some dope styles, and here we have it.
So, and I love that. And so are you all still like dropping them kind of like how they dropped the Jordans? Like, are y'all still doing that?
The sneakerhead roll out. You know this.
So I mean, so clearly that's working out in terms of for the millennial age range. So like, are they like shutting down the site, and they like are like how's the response been in terms of like the word of mouth?
Repetition is everything, right? I'm glad you asked that. Between last year to this year, obviously with the pandemic and COVID-19, the online shopping being, just the I guess it's become from a necessity to an urgency now. Ncmprble's business increased from last Black Friday to this Black Friday over 800%. Over 800%. So being able to see like our core being Black millennials to every single race, and Ncmprble's in over 40 states and 4 countries. So it's not just us, it's them, it's everybody, and we can't be even more grateful for that. And as an unabashed sneakerhead, I'm a recovering sneakerhead, I'll put it like that. It helped to pay attention, not even more so to just the sneakers, but just more so the timing and the colorways, and studying the psychologies of colors and what colors are more successful in whatever season. We incorporate that into our watches. and when we come out with something. For example, like the brown sugar watch I have on, and cocoa, brown sugars, obviously after D'Angelo, for those who aren't necessarily familiar. My mom loves D'Angelo. So when I was younger, that's all she played was him, Maxwell. Loves D'Angelo. So knowing that the color browns and coffees and tans, they tend to do better in the fall, that's where we came out with our, advanced melanin pack with, brown sugar and cocoa. And obviously cocoa, wintertime season, still the brown is still available. So, but, that kind of steers away from some sneakers, but just more so that psychological piece of color. So knowing that and incorporating it, it's very... it trains our, I will say it trains our demographic to be like, okay, these colors is hot, this season. So what's about to come out or what's coming out? Okay, I can wear that with this. I can do this with. So now they're more inept, this more that buyer urgency because they're buying more browns in their wardrobe. You can bring the UGG boots out if you're in New York, if you're in Boston, if you're in the Midwest, if you're in Illinois, and be like, my watch will go with that. Okay.
Man, but I know some sneakerheads, like they'll buy the shoes first,
yes,
and then they buy the outfit.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
That's a pretty cool way to think about it. If people are matching their outfits to their watch, and exactly not the other way around. Like I think that's dope.
That's exactly what they do. We dress from the feet up. That's what we call it. We dress we dress from the feet up. That's exactly how it goes. So yeah, like and even more so from a sneaker perspective, we weren't going to re-release our drip watch until, let me give you a
that was on my list. One of the ones I like.
Drip is a whole vibe. We got beat up by the public. I'm gonna let you know why. Our drip watch is blue, obviously, so we weren't going to re-release it until next summer. But we found out that obviously iPhone came out with the phone in blue. That's an accessory, that same type of blue, family. So I had it. I just like, you don't know what? All right. We had just finished, our commercial with Kevin Harrington that we got out with Shark Tank. And I was like, well, we'll give it to him. We'll do it for the holiday. We'll do that. So, as you can see, people love on it. And having that strategic marketing planning, it's more so important because we think of our consumer and how they like to dress and what they like to wear and their buying habits, everything else besides from the watch. We just complete the look with it.
Let's talk about the elephant of most of our Black businesses. The elephant in the room. Like a little while ago, we was talking about price points and how you keep your your rates affordable. And some people, our people, they think that because it doesn't cost this much, that it doesn't cost a lot, that it may be inferior. Like, how are you overcoming that terrible Black stigma, like the negative stigma of Black owned businesses, especially, in your industry?
That's a double-edged sword, right? So there's two ways that you can approach that question. One is with providing advanced affordable style, we get people who will first want to even haggle and negotiate you for even lower because they don't know you. Like your Rolexes, like your high-end, but we'll be proud to pay $2,000 for a bag, but when it comes to a growing brand, that does the jig, when you get something from the brand, it's more so we don't know you like that. So how do we know that your brand is quality this and this is? But that's where word of mouth and Google reviews and your website reviews and just people that post on social media and the influencers and like that whole structure of organized business is important, because then you can pull receipts and be like, yep, we here, yep, Essence, yep, Walmart, yep, the news, yep. So we're not gonna do that for nothing. So when people start to see that, that's where like investing in your brand, on that aspect is important. But I've learned a lot of our direct competitors and just other watch brands in general. When you start out, like Ncmprbl, we're about to enter year 2 in March 2021. But being able to be cognizant of how your prices start and being able to build as you grow, but still kind of reach a cap, if that makes sense. Like when Jordans came out, they were originally $85. Now they're $220, but that happens over time. Right. That happens as you build that loyal, that brand loyal, you know, that we don't even like to call our customers. They're calling Ncmprbl life members. So that gives you that sense of community. Right. So once you see that, it's like, okay, this is worth it because I've already bought 2, 3, 10 watches and their quality. So, you know, it's 2 different ways, you know, to combat that. And even with the former, if I may continue and kind of drive home the point, we have a partnership here with Black Market here in Houston. It's one of the highest bi-monthly, you know, markets in the country. Like it's great for the community, and it merges like up and coming businesses with established businesses, et cetera, et cetera. But here you tend to notice the difference between Black owned business and Black owned hustle. Right. So and that's something me and one of my business advisors just discussed. And as Black owned businesses, we have to erase the stigma, 1, of providing terrible customer service, 2, of not being able to get back with our people if something happens, because every business is not perfect. If we can forgive Apple for their iPhones blowing up every year, we can forgive if something happens with us, and we can. Right. So, you know, with this, it's certain things that we have to be accountable as CEOs and business owners to make sure that our business flourishes. Like everybody wants to own a business, nobody wants to run a business. So being able to be cognizant of those things and having those face-to-face interactions with people, having those uncomfortable conversations with people to erase those stigmas, like that is important. And I can't say enough like how I've gotten that from just previous work in the 9-to-5s and stuff like that, like working with people and you know, how to combat those problems whenever people will come up. And let me give you one more example, and I promise you'll go to the next question. Okay. Please. So I had a customer. I hate to use the term customer. I had a Ncmprbl life member couple days ago, literally couple days ago. And I could tell this was this person's first purchase. They weren't necessarily, they pre-ordered a watch and they were skeptical, but they saw that their friend brought them the Ncmprbl, posted it on Facebook, left us a dope review on Google, et cetera, et cetera. But we had just got this watch back in stock. And this person was halfway heated. Is anybody going to respond to me? I'm like, we never got an email. We never got none of that from you. It's like, but you know, here's everything with your tracking number. And they saw that it came automatic. I mean, like 10, 15 minutes later, we were literally unboxing the shipment that just came in. So they get it next day and they were like, oh, we're going to be so excited to give this as a Christmas gift. We thank you for getting back to us because we didn't know. And even though the website said this watch is going to ship by this particular day, sometimes people may forget. So we got to be cognizant of those things too. So having that communication pretty much saved that whole, you know, thing from
could have went left real quick.
Right. It could have bad because that trust isn't there for all of us. Like we can go into any other business that's not, you know, of melanin descent and they can pretty much do whatever, say whatever, but we'll go back. But let us have one error. Our margin for error is real slim. That's why I don't do business with Black-owned businesses now. I'm like, don't do that.
Exactly.
You just forget them. Don't do that.
That's real. That's real. I'm so glad that you use those examples because those are the ones that we see all the time. But you know, I feel like, you know, do you think it's getting a little better just with, you know, everything going on in, you know, in the world, you know, with, you know, with COVID and, you know, all of these senseless murders of, you know, of our brothers and sisters and stuff like, you know, I feel like, you know, more Black people are more open now to supporting up and coming, you know, Black businesses and stuff.
Definitely. And it's needed. It's needed. I mean, but it shouldn't have taken any tragedies, you know.
Agreed.
For this to happen. Like even, and we're all accountable to a fault. Like even like our classic, you know, clothing lines like Karl Kani. Tupac never charged Karl Kani for any photo shoot. whatsoever. Like, little known fact, Mike Tyson used to walk out to Walker Wear all the time, but we didn't just, that's black owned, this is black owned, that's black owned, all of that. But now it took for us to learn from those particular instances to, learn how to operate, a business. And no business is perfect, no matter if you're just starting out, starting up, growing, scaling, multi-million-dollar, Fortune 500, Forbes, whatever. But it's just important for us, even on our end, to make sure that we're accountable to provide, dope service on purpose. It makes people come back.
Love it. Love it. Oh my God, I can't believe like this time went by so freaking fast. So what's next for Incomparable?
I did mention the commercial we have with Kevin Harrington of Original Shark of Shark Tank. That's out. It'll be out this holiday season. We just got Los Angeles and New York added as markets. And that's major because they reached out to us. So when you mentioned earlier, when you mentioned earlier regarding, when did you knew that you were kind of, doing something when you got that first sale, that gives that continued, confirmation. We have our partnership with Walmart. All of our watches are currently sold out on Walmart. And you talked about the whole price point and all that, right? Mm-hmm. Walmart isn't necessarily your place where we would go in person to buy a watch. But as a startup brand, as a growing brand for the second largest retail, chain to come to you and say, we love what you're doing. You can be on our website for this. It helps to add that credibility to your brand. You can't skip steps when you're chasing history. So that's for us. We have a partnership with Shop Essence, so we're on shopessence.com. They're doing a few transformations right now, but we do have a few watches there. Blackmarket.com, that's BLCK market.com, station here in Houston, super dope people. Big shout out and love to J.O. Malone, providing a platform for Black owned businesses to flourish. And we even gave them a few unreleased Ncmprbl watches that you won't find on Ncmprbl.com. And what else? We have our next interview with Fashion Good magazine, one of the top selling online Amazon magazines. We were on the winter of 19 cover. We're going to be on the winter of 2021 cover. So that's going to be coming soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. And just a few more things coming down the pipeline. We always encourage everybody to stay connected on moves at Being Comparable, where you can find us on all social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all of that good stuff. So yeah, that's really it for us. Trying to build,
Trying. I mean, sure, you're doing it. You're doing it.
It's ebbs and flows that come with entrepreneurship. One day it's money trees like Kendrick, and the next day you just see the whole little disrespectful tumbleweed running around. I'ma get it. So that's really it. We're trying to build. That's it.
Cool. Well, look, I got one more question.
Go ahead.
What's the best advice that you've ever received in business?
Be authentic. And it's important because people to be able to see through BS no matter what you sell, no matter what your brand represents, or anything, just of that particular component. Is people relate and people resonate and people feel authenticity and good energy. They have to buy into you. They have to buy into your story before they buy anything from you. And knowing that you can bring people along with you for the ride, especially with social media and being authentic, people are able to see, your year one difference from your year 10 difference. And like another tenet just with that, just to not compare, yourself with your competitors, because you never know what their year one or year two or their year 5 or their year 20 look like. Typically it takes 5 years for entrepreneurs to build a successful, business. Some people get it like that, but as quick as it comes, it can leave even quicker. So That's it.
Awesome. Thank you for dropping those gems for us. And all of your social media handles will be on the bottom of the screen. So all of that good stuff. And I just thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule again to just share your wisdom and your experience and this dope brand. Now I want to tell you real quick the watches that I like.
Okay.
I said I like Drip.
Okay.
I like gray sweatpants.
Okay. Grace
And
is a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe.
It is. I can't even tell you where my mind went when I saw it. I was
You know
like,
what? We might as well have a conversation. Because we did it on purpose. We did it so on purpose. Typically, gray in watches doesn't sell well, but it's the story behind it. We get so many women that will, because typically Incomparable from a data perspective. Let me not sound too ratchet. From a data perspective, over 60% of our buyers are women. But for this particular watch, it is straight down the line, 50-50 at this point. It's been one of our highest selling pieces, and women tell us all that this is the only gray sweatpants my man could wear out the house. He gonna get this watch. or they'll get it for themselves.
I like to say, look, I liked it for me. I liked it for me.
When they'll come out with a watch called yoga pants, I'm like, we can't. I was like, just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. Leggings, come on now. It was like, but you already got one called gray sweatpants. And that was the timing too. We came out with that in the beginning of October. Like, we knew that it wouldn't do well in the summertime or anything like that. But it has a stitch and suede leather, the strap is detachable. So people like those things to switch it up if they want to. But that particular piece right there, like, that resonated with our culture.
Definitely. It definitely, but I genuinely like how it looks, but I'm telling you, but you are absolutely right. Because I can't tell you where my mind went. But
I shall not judge.
But and the other one I really like was Rain.
Rain, you love Rain. You know what? Rain, I thank you for that. That means you like silver. So Rain came from our petite collection, and it came out the same time as Butterscotch and Miracle. People that love silver love that particular watch. So it's a dope vibe.
Yes. So beautiful products. And all right, I promise that's it this time, y'all. All right. Thank you. All right, you guys. So I need you to go show some love to Incomparable by going to their website and purchasing one of their beautiful watches and giving them a follow on Instagram. And if you like this episode of Branded While Black, I need you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button on whatever platform that you're listening to us on. And if you would like to connect with me, you can text the BWB to 504-499-0857, or you can connect with me on Instagram as well, which is Shanae J. Washington. All right, you guys. I love you guys, and I will see you next week on another episode of Branding While Black. And remember, don't be regular, be incomparable.